Are you super tempted by the yarn prices on Temu, but hesitant because you're not sure of what you're going to get? I happen to have figured out the secret to making sure that I get amazing quality yarn for a really great price. So if you are interested, then stick around and I will share my secret with you. Hello, welcome to Show and Tell Meg. I'm Megan and I like to make things, and I particularly like to make things out of yarn. And as a person who likes yarn, another hobby that goes hand in hand with that is purchasing yarn. I saw that Temu had yarn and I was curious about it. And I'll admit that at first I ordered some that they weren't exactly what I would typically get. Everyone was pairing mohair with everything, and I saw that Temu had skeins of acrylic mohair for, gosh, less than, they were like $1.50 or something, $1.50 a skein. And so I got some just to see what it was like. And you know, it's an acrylic mohair, but it is what it says it is. And for the price, it was fine. Not super thrilling though, not quite what I usually go for. This is another one, Swe Velvet Cotton, Yau. And this feels like it's some kind of a viscose cotton. It says it's 30% cotton and 70% close skin velvet. And I imagine that's some kind of rayon of some kind. And it's nice and slick, and I liked the variegated colors of this. Still haven't figured out what I'm going to do with it, but you know, for the price that it was nice. But that is not my secret. I happened to tap into something on Temu that maybe you've seen, maybe you haven't though. As a person who knits garments, personally, I prefer to purchase natural fiber yarns, whether it's plant fibers or wool. It's just my personal preference. I make things out of acrylic all the time. I just don't like to wear them against my skin. I live in Florida. It's very hot. I need some breathability and not having plastic against my body. So when I saw that Temu had some yarns that were advertised as nice fibers like wool, angora, yak, cashmere, linen, things like that, I became really curious. And it all started because Temu offered me one of their major price drops. If you're not familiar with how Temu works, you can put things in your cart and then they will send you emails or notifications on your phone or whatever to notify you that this one item, this one time, they will drop the price significantly on. And the idea is they drop the price significantly, but it only lasts for so long. They kind of make a game out of it, which I'm not a big fan of that. But if you know how to use that to your advantage, I managed to get a skein of yarn for, I don't know, $2.50 that was previously even on their own website like $6 or $7. It turned out to be, you know, different than these. This yarn had no label whatsoever. This one has something that looks like I could have printed it myself on my home printer. So it doesn't give me the impression of being a very professional yarn brand. This was a professional yarn brand. It's called Lotus Yarns, and it was something called Swan Lake. And it came in with a legit yarn label that said Lotus Yarns, had the fiber content and everything, which had to be translated, so there's a sticker on it, because originally it was in Chinese. But Swan Lake is 50% cashmere, 40% wool, and 10% angora. It's a lace weight yarn, which it seems that in Asia, they must be more accustomed to knitting more things with lace, because I will say most of the things that I've gotten have been lace weight, maybe fingering weight, but they're definitely thinner than a lot of the things that we like to work with. But I got this kind of natural color of the Swan Lake, and it was really pretty. It was soft and checked out. I did a burn test on it because I wasn't sure. You just don't know when you are ordering from another country if you're going to be getting what you're promised. And I liked it. And so when the price dropped on a couple of other colors of it later on, I stashed those. And then I used this yarn last year in the Sweet Georgia Mystery Shawl Knit Along. This is the Playing My Song shawl. Actually, I think it goes this way. And that's the yarn that I use. This is all Lotus yarn from Temu, which it's a lace weight, but it's a shawl. I find that shawls, you can get away with something being a little bit thinner. Like, it's lacy too, you know? So it didn't need to be something that was super robust and heavy. So I used it for this and it worked out great. This shawl is like a puffy cloud. It is so soft. The cashmere and the Angora, like, it's a very nice quality yarn. And it, because it's lace weight, look how small this folds down. So yeah, I was really impressed. I ordered this really not knowing what I was going to get into, but I ended up with a product that I really, really enjoyed. And so it made me more curious about what other things they would have from this fancy yarn brand for sale on Temu. You can type in Lotus yarns as a search, or you can just type in wool yarn, things like that. I will say that the site itself is kind of vague with its descriptions. You have to scroll down. You have to know how to look at this yarn. A lot of the time they do show the fiber content, but it probably won't show the label of the yarn. It just shows the yarn like this. But again, I decided to take a chance. And I knew that this was going to be Lotus yarn. It said that it was mink, cashmere, wool, and viscose on the description. And it sold in a 3-pack. And I think at the time, like, the price dances around quite a bit. I think at the time that I bought this first color, the 3-pack was something like $16. And again, this is a lace weight yarn, but the fiber content checks out. And when I got it, it turns out to be Lotus Yarn's Mimi. And this is actually a yarn that you can look up on Ravelry. It's sold in yarn stores, even in our own country, but apparently Lotus Yarns is very popular in other countries. And it was all the same dye lot. It has the dye lots listed, the color numbers, everything like that. And this is wonderfully soft. I mean, it's mink and cashmere. How fancy, right? I ended up getting a sweater quantity of this. I bought 2 3-packs of this yarn, which for the fiber content, that's an extremely good price. So I think I paid $30 or $32 for a sweater quantity of this yarn at the time. And that's fantastic. I'm super thrilled. I love the color. And I liked that so much that when they did a price drop on that yarn again, I bought 2 more colors. These are black and white, obviously, of the same yarn, Lotus Yarn's Mimi, and they dropped the price to like $12.50 for a 3-pack. I've only seen that the one time, and so I jumped on it, but I am already planning what I'm going to make out of these. It is lace weight, but since I got such a good deal on it, I mean, I can hold this double, and I could knit a fingering weight sweater out of it, and that's kind of what my plan is. But now I have all 3 of these colors, and they're all lovely. And there's quite a few other colors available. And even at the higher price, I mean, that's still a really good price for the quality of yarn that this is. If you are a fan of natural fibers, you will completely understand what I mean. There's a lot of different types of yarn. And another one that they had is 100% linen. And this is lace weight, 100% linen. It is Lotus Yarn's Linen 100. And I bought a sweater quantity of this too. This was a little more expensive. They were sold per skein, and I want to say they were like $5 or $6 each. But again, I got price drops on a couple of these. I did not order them all at the same time. I have more sitting right over there. But it's all coming from the same lot, even when I've ordered them at different times. Like, these are clearly... I'm guessing this is a discontinued yarn, so is the Mimi. And so they must have just purchased all of it from Lotus that was left, and now they're offloading it on Temu. I also, on another price drop, picked up a skein of Lotus Yarn's Silky Merino DK. And this may or may not be an actual DK. It looks a little thin to me, like a sport, maybe even a fingering. I mean, sport and fingering I'm always kind of debating on anyway. But this is 50% silk and 50% merino, and it feels heavenly. Like, look at the drape on it. I haven't decided what I'm going to make out of this because I only got the 1 skein since it was the price drop and I wanted to see how I liked it. But this is a beautiful yarn too. So when I was in the process of purchasing these yarns, I did check around online to see if this really was a good price. And I remember at the time when I was looking up the linen yarn, I was looking at it at about $6 a skein. And the best other place I could find it was on Amazon, and they wanted $12 a skein. I looked up the Lotus Yarns Mimi, and it seems like this is a little more common to be sold in the United States at local yarn stores. But this was another that I got the 3 skeins for $16, and they were selling for $10, $11, $12 a piece if you were buying them individually. So it just kind of confirmed that I was getting a really good price on all of this yarn, sort of cutting the middleman, essentially. I was getting it directly from the country it was made, and I know that they are discontinued, and I'm benefiting from that fact. And I will say, over the months, like I bought most of these quite a few months ago. I went on a little bit of a kick with Temu, and now, especially in the linen, there's quite a few colors that they've sold out, but there's quite a few that are still there. On all of these, you can still get a lot of different color varieties, or you can always get white, and everything in this yarn, I believe, is dyeable. I'm not sure about the viscose. Everything else would work with just an acid dye. So they're all natural fibers. I mean, it's just so soft. I am very excited about having a sweater made out of these. So while I have seen other videos talking about Temu yarn, they were all talking about the acrylic stuff. And when I watch their videos, they'll say how they ordered something called milk cotton. I ordered some milk cotton too. I just forgot to dig it out. And you'd think from the name that it means it has cotton in it. But then when you actually get it and you read the label, it is 100% acrylic. So you definitely have to read the listing very well. Sometimes you can see it in the photos of the skeins of yarn, but sometimes they don't show it. And I actually have to scroll down past the reviews and things like that and get to the description. And it generally it will say content and then, 100% cotton, 100% polyester, 95% polyester, 5% polyamide, things like that. So if you know how to buy yarn by fiber, and if you are a little bit of a detective about it with looking at the listings, you can find some amazing yarn for very inexpensive. So that's my big tip, is to focus on brands that you know are reliable when you're shopping on a site like Temu. And I know that Temu in general, shopping there is very controversial. I'm sure I'm going to get comments about it. We will see how that goes. But if you really think about it, you're just kind of cutting the middleman. Realistically, if you live in the United States in particular, we don't manufacture a lot of our own things. We order them in from these other countries. And so when you're buying something from a big box store, you're just adding to the chain of people who are making money off of this product that was made in China or other places like that. So are you still buying these products, but you're going to poo-poo on Temu? It's something to think about. I have been extremely happy with all of the yarns that I have purchased that were Lotus yarns from Temu, and for the prices, you really can't beat it. And so if you are looking for natural fibers, I hope that you give this a try. I am going to include my Temu link down below. It is an affiliate link. I do make a small percentage if you do make a purchase. It's not any obligation or anything, but I think if you use my link, you get some kind of extra coupon or something like that. They do promotions like that all the time. So if you are interested, I will link that below. And I do appreciate any purchase that you make through my link. But yeah, I am super happy with all of my purchases of yarn once I figured out this secret to getting good yarn from Temu. And I hope that this will be beneficial for you, that you can get your hands on some of this yarn if you are interested. I can absolutely vouch for the quality of it myself, and if they drop the price on it again, I will probably buy more. So that's all that I have for you today. I hope that this is helpful. If you like this, I would really appreciate if you could give me a like, subscribe if you want to stick around. I'm always sharing different kinds of tips in regard to yarn and fabric and all of the particulars about things that I make. So if that is something that you're interested in, please stick around. I would love to have you. And until next time, happy yarn shopping.